All right, we are live. Hello, Annette. How are you? Hope your Friday is going fantastic. Yeah, so just wanted to end the week off. I'm pumped up on high energy, tired, Annette. Yeah, I'm usually exhausted come Fridays, but I think I'm so revved up from Unstoppable that my energy levels are just crazy. And I'm actually going away this weekend. So hey, Sean. Hey, Kimry. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to continue to ride this awesome wave of excitement and um, everything that came out of Unstoppable, which is exciting. So, but it got me thinking um, from the beginning of my journey until now. Been thinking a lot today, this morning, and just wanted to share some of the things that certainly not unique to me, but definitely things that people go through, whether they're building an online business or brick and mortar, or asking someone out on a date, or picking up the phone to order a pizza, or I mean, it's really um, applicable for a lot of circumstances, and that is totally feeling like both of our feet are cemented, right? And you think about that, right? It's a good visual, which is why I kind of named today's live that feeling like both feet are cemented. When you're cemented, you're stuck in place, right? Especially once the cement dries. So, um, thinking back to when I first started, and it's approaching 2 years. May 21st will be 2 years since I bought my first digital course. And I remember, and I can tap into the memories of feeling so completely overwhelmed. I shared a bit of this before. I'm gonna not take a deep dive, but I'm gonna do like a kind of like a fast forward. Um, Fast forward. Hey, Melinda. Um, Fast forward kind of. So this is like couple months worth, right? Because I could talk for hours and hours, and I don't want to keep everyone that long. So when I first started, I was completely overwhelmed. I instantly regretted spending a couple $1,000s on my first course, having no online experience, having very little tech experience. I thought to myself, what the hell were you thinking? Like, you can't get this money back. You just invested all this money, and this is, I don't even know what they're talking about. The language was all new to me, and all that stuff. And I continued on and I persevered, and I stepped back. I burnt myself out really quickly in the beginning, trying to just learn everything and not really doing anything with it. So, as I've adopted a new saying, it is learn, do, share. Um, I didn't really know what that meant. I just had no idea. So I was completely overwhelmed, completely frustrated, and felt like I was just frozen in a block of cement. And met up with my current coach, Nate. Um, Started working with him a few months into, I believe it was like September 2021. And um, not quite sure how that came about, not quite sure how I started actually working with him and being in his VIP group. I don't remember that far back. Um, but initially met him when he simply fixed my funnel that I was using at the time. There was some random weird connection that nobody could figure out what was missing. And the person that I had signed in under was like, hey, let me call my friend over here, and he'll get you straightened out. So he did, and it took him like 20 seconds. click, 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 do this. Yep, fine, great. And, Nate was like a hummingbird. He buzzed in and he buzzed right out, right? Did it just simply because. And so fast forward to still fumbling around, still wasn't really quite sure what I was doing, even under Nate's awesome guidance. Nothing just felt right, right? And, I would try it, but I wasn't like super passionate about it. And I knew at that point that there was something for me online. I just didn't quite know what that something for me was. Um, so, continued on, fast forward to early last year, January, February, March, when the place that I now call home was basically birthed. And even after that, I have many times felt like my feet were cemented in place, even though everything made sense to me, even though um, I was putting in, not 100% effort, because again, not everything felt like it was the right thing for me. And it wasn't until June that that really came about. So if you're feeling like you know that you want to do something with this money that you've invested in yourself, but you're just not quite sure what that looks like, um, talk it over, right? Talk it over with people, because sometimes just having many conversations, and I had many conversations until you finally admit to yourself what it is that you want to do. And that was a game changer for me. So if you're feeling like your feet are cemented right now, I would encourage you to do a self reflection inventory. Um, and by that, I mean, look at everything that you've done in your life, look at every hobby that you do, look at friendships, look at your lifestyle, look at your self care, look at your communications style, look at your personality type, like look at all of that stuff. And what one of my favorite movies is Eat, Pray, Love, and it's a really good book too. But he always says, smile from your liver, right? So, what do you do in life, not professionally related, but what do you do in life that makes your liver smile, right? And are you able to monetize that somehow? Because it's not always recommended that you monetize like a hobby, because then once it becomes a job, it doesn't, it takes away from it feeling like a hobby. But if you can get your passion behind what it is that you're building, that's like, oh, lighter fluid to your fire, right? Lighter fluid to your business fire, because there are definitely, oh, hey, David, how's it going? I don't know how to give StreamYard. Oh, yep. No, I can see your name, David. Um, Usually, if you've already given StreamYard permission once, it usually just always gives it to you, but not always. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, I can see that too, David. Um, so if you've been at this for a while, if you've been at building an online business for a while, if you've been in the make money online space, and it just doesn't seem like it's fitting 100% right, do an inventory of your life. Again, those things that I had just mentioned. So in the beginning, I had said I'm coming off of like the high energy of Unstoppable, and that was an amazing experience. And from that, one of the like off the cuff kind of things that we had done, which ended up being a pretty cool, um, actually a really cool thing to do and a thing to talk about. Something that I would encourage you to do is we looked at, if we were a spice packet, what would our ingredients be? And believe it or not, there are Google questions, Google forums, Google quizzes that you can take that tells you what spices you're, based on your answers, what spices you should be. And everyone who took the quizzes, agreed with their spices. And it was actually really cool. I haven't done mine yet because I've been in trainings all morning for another business that I started. So I haven't done mine yet. But when I did the reflection of what it is that I want to do, um, and I finally admitted to myself that I need to work with my strengths, and working with your strengths. And I know I love Google. Absolutely, I love Google. It's my go-to for everything. Some people love YouTube. Some people love like TikTok and other platforms or whatever. I love Google. Um, I like them all, but Google's my favorite. So if what you're doing you have passion for, um, you love what you're doing, you can see how it can become something that you're working towards building, and you're making, or you were making little steps, but you feel like you've stepped into that square of cement, and your feet really have been planted. So um, shake it up a little bit. And by that I mean shake up your content a little bit. Start adding a little bit more spice to it, right? Start adding a little bit more of your oh, no problem for being late. Where everyone's welcome at any point in time. And Charita, the replays are always in the group too for people to come back to. Um, if it's feeling stale, figure out what in your process, like what in your business strategies, what in your daily action plan that you're doing is feeling stale. Because when you get to the point in your business that you're kind of bored with it because it's running so amazingly, like it's just running like on automatic pilot. And yes, you're going to have to keep showing up every day, but you have systems in place that your content is always working for you, and it's always in this loop of getting in front of people, and it's really honed in. So once you get to the point where your business feels boring, that's when it's time to add something else onto it. It's time to add on, a different avenue, or it's time to add on a new training, or it's time to add on like a new challenge or something like that. If you're building something of your own, um, and I guess there's different ways to look at if you're building something of your own. Not everybody is interested in building out, a massive course. Not everyone is interested in doing like full-fledged coaching, right? Not everyone is interested in having tons of VAs or appointment setters, or all those other things that can come along with it, right? And if that's not what you want, then don't build that. One of the early lessons that I learned was, when I was in some early coaching early on, with a previous set of coaches. That was their whole business model. Their whole business model was, to continue to scale, and um, hire VAs and hire this and hire that, and have everything like on fully automation. And I remember sitting in those meetings going, oh my God, like, no, this is not what I want. I don't I don't want something this complex. And like that started to create a conflict for me, in my, I'm like, this can't possibly be the only way to do this. Um, I'm just not interested in doing something along that business model. So maybe I should put together a personal inventory. Let me know in the comments if anybody would be interested in having access to like a personal inventory, to assess different aspects about yourself so that you can kind of, not like really a deep dive, but so you can kind of get a sense of what your strengths are, the direction that you should take. We can also jive a little bit on like what your personality and temperament is. You'd love that? Okay. Um, that might be a really good idea. I've been trying to think of like something like a lead magnet kind of thing. Um, I think personal inventory is a really good idea. Okay. Um, because we did that. Yeah, I did. I wrote it down. I wrote it down on the Unstoppable framework. So I won't. That seems to be my note thing right now. Um, so we did do some of that in. Well, we did actually a lot of that during Unstoppable, but um, we pulled apart a lot of that stuff. So, and in the future we'll be taking deeper dives into some of that stuff as well. So, all right, I'll put that together. Kimberly, I'll make sure I get it to you. It won't be like within the next day or two because I'm at a bowling tournament all weekend, but I'll get it done sometime next week and I'll send you a direct message. And anyone else, if you're catching this on the replay and you think it would be helpful to have like a personal assessment inventory to kind of figure out, directions, maybe some bottlenecks that are happening, maybe some stalls, whatever is, happening, maybe, maybe a different content flavor, type thing that you could do. So yeah, that sounds good. But interestingly enough, um, somebody had shared some feedback in the group, and I didn't know this, but at one point in time, they were on the verge, like literally like on the verge of quitting, feeling frustrated that, nothing that they were doing was working. And, when I watched that video, I was actually at that place in January, and that wasn't too long ago. Last June of 2022, I was at the point where I was like, you know what, just suck up your losses. You're going to just have to pay the money back through um, increasing your in-person clients and just suck it up. And you're not going to earn that through online business. Right. And then that's kind of when my breakthrough took place. And when I finally decided to really adopt myself and do the mindset stuff. So, but then in January of this year, so August, September, well, really September after the mastermind, September, October, November, December. So for 4 months, I was like straight, right? Doing, everything like, yeah, probably like 85%. I still wasn't doing everything 100%. And the number one thing that kept coming up for me that left me feeling cemented was there was a pretty strong undercurrent of I truly didn't believe that I would be successful. And it wasn't until I was having a conversation with a dear friend of mine, Mark, um, about it. And that kind of came about for me. And I was like surprised by that because I've been successfully an entrepreneur since 2006. So I know that I can be successful. But in the online space, it just was posing different challenges than I have in my brick and mortar. So I truly was at the place where I was like, it's never going to happen for you. Um, because of your personality, because of this, because of that. I told myself a million different reasons why it was never going to happen for me. And I was ready to pull the plug. I was ready to just send everyone a message in my groups and just say, bye, everyone. I'm leaving, right? So obviously I didn't, because it's April 1st tomorrow, and here I am, and just created my first core product, and super excited about that. Some really awesome, amazing feedback came from that as well. Some exciting things are coming from that. So yeah. So just when you feel like there is no possible way forward, because you just feel like you're stuck, it's always helpful to take a really good, solid, deep dive into what is keeping you feeling stuck. And over the course of 10 days for Unstoppable, we covered 29 topics. Now, looking back at that, it probably was a bit much. I probably should have done it. I don't know. I probably should have done it maybe less intense. I probably shouldn't have covered 29 topics, but you know what? Everyone stuck in there with me, and they listened to me, jabber on and all that stuff. So um, the point of that is, when you really are sitting in the shoes that you should be sitting in, and sitting in the seat that you should be sitting in, people will listen to you talk for 2 hours gladly, right? Um, so yeah, super appreciative of that. Now, it's really important, and what I see happens from a lot of people is, a lot of people are staying super connected to online, super connected to their socials, and you're getting consumption fatigue. That's what I'm calling it. It's probably already coined out there, like everything else is, but I'm calling it consumption fatigue. You're doing too much, you're immersed in it too much, you're consuming too much, right? Consumption fatigue. So take a really good look at how much time are you honestly spending with fluttering around like a hummingbird, and going from this and going from that, and checking the metrics on this, and checking the metrics on that, and checking to see if you have any messages over here, checking to see, right? You're humming around, and you're actually really not accomplishing anything. And you hear, I don't know if all courses use it, but the courses that I've had, they all use, like, what are your non-negotiables? What are your um what's your daily action plan? What's your daily action tasks? All that stuff. However, not everyone truly understands what it means to break that stuff down so it's manageable, so it is in bite-sized pieces, so that way you can start doing something. Because if you do something today, your feet aren't cemented. If you do one thing today that you didn't do yesterday for your business, to move the needle forward, to reach out to more people, to have more conversations, to, then the end goal, right, is to increase sales. So getting clear on what your daily action plan is. And I truly believe, for the most part, if you have your, now this is going to change the busier you get, right? It's going to change. But if you're in the beginning phases of building your audience, creating content, building goodwill, adding value, all that stuff, right? I truly believe that you can do it in like 3 hours a day. That's providing you have a very clear, structured plan on what it is that you're doing. Um, especially if you work full time, out of the house, in the house, whatever, kids, people that you need to take care of, whatever your obligations. Oh, I should have went live on TikTok. Um, whatever your expectations are, um, it doesn't really matter. I truly believe that you can do it within 3 hours of strategic, targeted business things. Again, that will change the busier you get, because the more people you have in your ecosystem, the more things you're going to be doing, right? The more people you're going to be talking to, stuff like that. The goal isn't to have this become a 90-hour-a-week job, right? The goal, I think, for most people is to be able to do this in 15, 20 hours a week, right? And from what I've seen, the the slower you grow, and this is something that both my coaches talk about, the slower paced you grow, the better off you are, because, and I believe this too, the slower you grow, growing is growing. And the slower you grow, the easier it is to be very purposeful about the steps and the processes that are taking you from one step to the next. Because I've seen so many people go from having no conversations to having 3,000 people. And that's extremely unmanageable. Imagine 3,000 people wanting your attention in every week. That's a lot, right? So having those systems in place where you're growing incrementally, but you're growing, will leave you feeling like you're not cemented, because you'll be moving forward. And they're little micro wins. If you only created 2 short form videos yesterday, try to create 3 today. Put 1 in drafts, post the other 2. Keep doing that. You'll have a bank. You'll have a bank of drafts. So that way, on a day where you want to take the whole day off, you can have a video ready to go. You can go bloop, and then it posts, right? And then you're back off social media. And the number one reason why I feel like people get cemented is they're not following a really good self-care routine. Self-care means eating. I have discovered that I'm severely dehydrated. I have not been drinking enough water the past couple days, and I can feel it. So I've been very purposeful today about starting to get my hydration back, because it makes you tired. It gives you a headache. It gives you brain fog. It zaps your energy. You don't sleep as good. A lot of things come from dehydration that aren't good. So I'm usually pretty good about that, but I haven't been past couple of days. So getting more purposeful for that. But if you are not taking care of yourself, if you are not fueling your body with the proper fuel that it needs, if you are not sleeping as well as you should be, if you're not getting outside and getting fresh air, you don't need to be out there socializing if you don't want to be. But if you're not spending time with the people that you really care about, the people that you love, if you're not working on that hobby, whatever that might be, if you're not doing any of that stuff, what makes you think that you'll have any fuel or energy to do anything else, right? It is so easy, Annette, to let yourself fall off your own schedule. However, if you schedule it out, it's easier to stay committed to it, right? It's not a fail-safe, because you can choose to ignore your own schedule. But if you get if you get into a routine of doing something, it's easier to stay in that routine. And if something throws it off for a day, it's easier to get back in that routine after that day's over. But something has to become a habit before you're going to consistently do something for any length of time. And it has to be, you have to be benefiting from it in a positive way for you to continue to do it as well. So, um, yeah. So, micro wins is the practical way to start going forward again. Do one thing today that you didn't do yesterday. If you're, whatever your self-care routine is, if you've completely fallen off the wayside and you are like starting from zero again, just add one thing tomorrow. Don't jump in full force and be like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, blah, 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 and it lifts off like 12 things. Chances are you're not going to do any of those. You're going to be overwhelmed. And then you're going to go to bed tomorrow night feeling like a complete failure. And then there goes the cycle of all the negative talk and blah, 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 all that stuff. So micro wins. One thing tomorrow that you didn't do today. Just add that and keep up with that until that becomes easy to do. Then add something else. I've said it a million times. Go big or go home does not work when it comes to that sort of stuff. So, um, yeah. So hopefully that was helpful, everyone. Um, Stuff you've heard before, maybe stuff you haven't heard before, but just a good reminder to start April off strong, right? Start April off strong. And for those of you that are still here, I will be putting together that personal inventory. I actually think I might have one already completed at my office. I'll check. I used to have a really nice comprehensive one. I wonder if I bet you I still have it at my office. I haven't used it in a long time, but see if I do. If not, I'll create a new one. It's not that hard. But if anybody has any questions, any concerns, anything, put it in the group. I do check the group messages. I do follow along just in case someone put something in there, clarification on anything, or expand on something, or point you in a direction of a resource or whatever. But yeah, so I'm off to the bowling tournament is out in Western Ave, however, Western Massachusetts. However, I found a hotel that was beautiful and not too expensive in Connecticut, ironically enough, but it's only like 20 minutes from the bowling alley, so it's not too bad. But yeah, looking forward to having a fun weekend with my kids and my daughter's boyfriend. And I will see everyone back next week for some tools, tricks, tips, techniques, all that stuff. So hope has a great weekend. If you're catching this on the replay, let me know. #replay. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Tarita. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Annette. Enjoy the weekend, everyone.